clarity of thought, depth of analysis, and commitment to translating research into measurable industrial growth and national development outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Sabinus Chiefin in
for the lecture, Sabi. Thank you very, very much. Don't mind me. Sometimes, if English becomes so hard, you use the one that is easy for you. You can do line as well. You understand that English? That is it. So, what is long grammar? Please, I want to thank the DG who will soon join us for this initiative. It's one that will take raw materials far and make us behave like other research institutes. Professor John, for your initiative, God bless you. I got my cap for you, and I'm very happy to see my organ. When I came from Owerri, I was redeployed from Owerri to the raw materials here. The first director I met is the person before us there, Dr. Jelo Osho, my boss, who taught me, who grounded me when I was defending one of my PhD projects at the University of Lagos. They had to cancel one that if the score is 0, is a positive integer. That I did not score enough to get a 0, which is a positive integer. And giving me a minus means they will go and subtract it from another course where I have done very well. The next time I represented, it was not my error though. It was fantastic. And the man said, look, we want Joshua was, when we use is, still my mentor is making me hotter per day. Thank you, sir, for being here again. And I want to thank my all directors here, please. Thank you very much, the deputy, the management, and everyone that is here. Thank you very, very much. I have to handle a topic that I am too far from. I think Odumoso and the inventory people are here. So to have called me to handle a topic in inventory is a very difficult terrain for me. But inshallah. So we'll go by the grace of God. So without wasting more time, let us see this topic. That is what I'm about to present now. Case studies on successful inventory optimization in Nigeria's agro and solid minerals. Case studies. These are the table of contents. That's a whole lot. So let us keep that and go to the introduction. Who is manning this? Can you expand this? Can you expand this? Okay. Introduction: from resource abundance to inventory failure. That is the status, that is the state of Nigeria as far as inventory is concerned. From resource abundance to inventory failure, that's the introduction. Nigeria's national diagnosis. So if you diagnose inventory as far as Nigeria is concerned, you can sum it to say that we have transited from resource abundance Thank you, my DG, and good afternoon. I was commending you in your absence, and I have to recap it now that the report that will come out from this series will definitely adumbrate a feature for the council, because the topics that are selected in this series, they are not only timely, but they are very relevant at this epoch of our national industrial struggle for development. And I was saying that the topic they gave me, this topic, if I discuss it before the DG, I don't know how you see it, and other people who are experts in this area, inventory, what do you call it, case studies on inventory optimization in the Nigerian agro and solid minerals. It's not an easy topic anywhere, but the word of introduction I was in before you came, I said that the diagnosis, the Nigerian national diagnosis as far as inventory optimization is concerned, is that of from resource abundance to inventory failure. So, in my place, there's a man that's called Rufus. His name is Rufus. But incidentally, his house leaks anytime it rains. What a paradox that somebody that is answering Rufus is leaking water. That is just the introduction. So, Nigeria is Africa's largest producer of cassava, for instance, yam, and a lot of them. They have large deposits of minerals everywhere. So, in theory, this should guarantee food sufficiency. It should secure industrial raw material base that we will not look for anyone. We should also have stable domestic supply and export potential. But in practical terms, are we having this? In practice, what Nigeria experiences is what? Seasonal gluts, followed by scarcity and food inflation. Underdeveloped agro-processing and manufacturing capacity. Dependence on imported industrial materials. Then high price volatility and supply disruptions. Then the diagnosis I was telling you, a resource reliability gap. There's a resource reliability gap. So that abundance at production, unreliability at consumption, and industrial use. So the message from this segment is that the failure is not in production. The failure we're having in this country is not in production. It's not that we cannot have all these raw materials. The failure is in the system that should transform these materials into timely, quality assured, and dependable national supply. Now, this lecture is essentially aimed to demonstrate through concrete Nigerian and international evidence that the decisive factor between resource abundance and national competitiveness is not how much a country produces, but how reliable it can store, it can certify, it can see and release what it produces. The purpose is to show how successful inventory systems transform crops and minerals into continuous quality assured industrial feedstock. My DG was just talking about feedstock now. And that is, this is runs, correlates with this topic. Then, stable and affordable food supply, effective import substitution and foreign exchange savings, price stability and macroeconomic resilience. Now, and importantly, to draw strategic lessons for building a nationally coordinated inventory architecture that converts Nigerian natural endowment to dependable supply assurance and global competitiveness. So what I am saying, even if I stop here, is that what we are going to see, it will help us to gain lessons on how to form, because during the course of this preparing for this, I discovered that Nigeria does not have a central coordinating organization. This is where raw material will play a very important part. And I want to plead with the DG that after this, there will be an inventory intelligence division that will be created in this council. The mission of this inventory intelligence division is to coordinate segmented inventory across the country, because you have this spread, you have the capacity, you have the structure to get this fragmented in different places, harmonize them, have a national body that will see them and then take positive policies that lead to the growth. If nothing else comes from this lecture, this is what I think will be a good outcome. So what is the structural problem? Systemic inventory failure in Nigeria. One, high production cost. I don't want to say about that one. In agriculture, up to 45% of post-harvest loss. In minerals, We have contamination, withering, lack of beneficiation, no satisfied stockpiles. And then we want to be a giant of Africa. We want to industrialize when these basic things are lacking. 2, quality and certification gap, no standard grading. Industries cannot rely on local feedstocks, and we are blaming them. In the ministry, let me digress a bit. My pastor was quarreling so much, my senior pastor, warning members, don't go to prayers where they see visions. Don't go to where they are prophesying. Don't go. And these people are dying. They are sick, and they have nowhere they will solve their problem, and they are telling them to stay there. If it is you, will you stay there? They have to go outside. So we cannot tell industrialists not to look out when we cannot give them what they want. The API standard, the American Petroleum Institute, that's the API standard. In barite, the SUN standards, industrial minerals, not fully institutionalized here. 2, 3, there's lack of inventory visibility. And that is what I must commend the DG for doing. Every time he's talking about data. What you have and nobody sees it is as good as not being there. I get them before, not be property. Now, there's no visibility. Who knows what is on ground if there's no way of letting people know what is on ground? So, you see that we have a lot of information that are just dumped with nobody seeing them and knowing the idea. So, the inventory failure, we have diagnosed that there's lack of inventory visibility, no real-time data on volumes, on grades, on locations, weak linkage to demand forecasting, and release planning. I wish there would also be a division or subdivision, maybe under this one, that will be in charge of raw material forecasting. If you forecast, industries can rely on your forecast, and then they have better planning. So the summary is that systemic inventory failure is equal to weak preservation, no quality segmentation, no digital visibility, no forecast link release. This is what is called systemic inventory failure, and that is what we're experiencing in Nigeria. So let us understand the concept, because if you look at that topic, maybe we don't understand what it is all about. And that's why I have said to, in a simple term, describe these terms. What is case study? Case study is learning from real life experiences to understand what works in practice and why it is working. So in this lecture, real stories from Nigeria, farms, warehouses, and mines is what we are going to look at. We're going to look at the real ones. It's not hypothetical, they are real. And again, we talk about inventory. What is inventory? For the people in the management sciences and accounting, they know that one very well. The stock of goods or materials kept for use or sell. In this lecture, food stocks and mineral stockpiles that feed markets and industries are the inventories we're talking about. Then when you say optimization, what do you mean by optimization? I'm just diagnosing the topic. Making the best possible use of what you have by reducing waste and then improving efficiency. That is what is called optimization. Optimization is making good what you have and making it to function for the purpose for which you have kept it. If you have something you is not optimally kept, you don't use it, it doesn't serve the purpose, then you're not optimizing. So for you to optimize your stock, that means you have to put them in a situation in terms of quality, quantity, timing, release, that will meet up the expected need. Otherwise, there's no optimization. So in this lecture, storing, counting, preserving, releasing materials at the right time and in the right quantity, they constitute optimization. So inventory, the stock of goods, then case studies of inventory optimization, and that's the topic. It's talking about real life Nigerian examples showing how better storage, better tracking, quality control, and supply planning reduce losses, prevent shortages, cut costs, support industries, and increase national economic benefits. Inventory optimization. I want to look at this. Watch this. When we talk about inventory optimization, we may be looking at it one from the firm level, that is from the company, individual companies level. We might also see it as a national level perspective. And from the national level perspective, that's why I want raw materials to come in now. People, industries, and firms are doing their own inventory at that at local levels. But these segmented levels, if they are not coordinated, we cannot have a national data to inform a national policy based on the raw material. So if we can aggregate these small firms that are doing their inventories, that are doing it very well, we can give them advisory services. That's one of the things that raw material is meant to do. We advise the industries if they're not doing it well and how to optimize them. And when we now correlate, add up all these segmented small firms, bring it to the national level, raw material will sit as authority that will direct and give more impetus on how that can become a national instrument. So to national sector level, I have described that. So key message there is that inventory optimization is not just a business tool. Underline that, it's not a business tool only. It is a national development strategy for food security, for industrial growth and economic stability. If you look at the national level, what are you supposed to do? National planning and monitoring of food and material stocks, food security and price stability, steady raw material supply to industries, import substitution and foreign exchange savings, reduction of post-harvest and post-extraction losses, strategic reserves for emergencies and export reliability. This is the national level. You can see at the firm level, from agro processing to mining to firms, there are void shortages that stop production, that avoid excess stock that ties down. In fact, you can't be saying you optimize this when you're having something in surplus. Like during the on-season, you see that a lot of mango, a lot of this fruit, they waste away, is that also? Then if you have more than what is required, they are not optimizing. You are wasting. So when we talk about inventory optimization at the firm level, you should also avoid excessive stock that ties down capital. You reduce spoilage, damage and waste, minimize storage, handling and logistic costs, ensure steady supply to customers, because when you call downtime and uptime is about how steady is the supply of raw materials. Now, I want to give you the inventory optimization that has about 5 pillars. The first pillar is aggregation. What we are talking about aggregation is you are consolidating dispersed outputs into economic values. Maybe, let me use this shea butter, for instance. You see the pickers are scattered. So depending on one person cannot help. So if you have a lot of shivers and somebody can collect it from them and aggregate it, that's what I'm talking about, aggregation. So you aggregate. Then when you aggregate, you preserve. Preservation is important, either through cold rooms, silos, cover stock yards. If it is solid minerals, you have stock yards to prevent loss. Then quality certification. Without quality, this is where our raw material is not making anything. We have to characterize and do a lot of things to show quality. So, international standard, that is quality and certification. Visibility, you have to, these are the pillars. When you say you are doing inventory optimization, if these pillars are not put in place, then that is not optimization. Now, strategic implications for inventory, that is what you can call benefits or something like that. Now, you have inventory is the system break point. It is where production becomes usable supply. Because if that production is not used, it is useless. It is where losses, spoilage, and quality failure occur. You have to be very careful. It determines whether surplus becomes stability or scarcity. It links firms and mines to factories, markets, and exports. Thank God for the couching of my Oga, Mrs. Koso. That is what it does. What are you linking to the markets and industries if you don't have an inventory? And if you have an inventory that's not optimized, that is not relevant, what purpose does that serve? It is the hinge between physical output and economic performance. Then, optimized inventory delivers. Look at the advantages. Number 1, loss minimization. Number 2, stable supply to industry and markets. 3, price and inflation dampening through buffer stocks. You must have enough stock in case there's anything you can release. Industry uptime and capacity utilization. Uptime means if my industry is supposed to perform 7 hours because it has abundant raw materials, and because of lack of raw materials or it doesn't come in time, instead of producing for 7 hours, they're not producing for 3 hours. That's downtime as a result of lack of raw material supply. But uptime means they are performing according to schedule because they have sufficient raw materials. Foreign exchange conservation via import substitution, natural food and raw material security, macroeconomic shock absorption, and resilience. I will take this one by one because I want us to understand this topic, because this topic is very, very relevant to the mandate of the council. And we have to, inventory optimization, number one, I gave it names. First name is that optimized inventory is competitiveness in practice. We are struggling with competitiveness. We cannot achieve competitiveness in this country except we have to optimize our inventory, what we have. Then where does competitiveness come? When we don't know the quality, we don't know the quantity. It's a reliable supply, not just cheap production. Consistent quality delivery, contract and scheduled reliability, global benchmark. Countries like Germany, Japan, Australia, South Korea, and the rest do not compete mainly because they produce. They do so because their inventory systems ensure that what is produced is always available, is always standardized, and is contract reliable. And therefore, industries can get loans for that. How inventory optimization creates this? Number one, it converts production into dependable market presence. It neutralizes seasonal and spatial supply gaps, manages quality through grading and blending, delivers high service levels at minimum cost. So if you see the footnote there, I said inventory is this, that is what it is. Operational form of competitive advantage. If you don't have this and you are saying you are going to be competitive, it's a lie. So number two, I said inventory is a sort of microeconomic shock absorber. That's another name for it. What does that mean? How inventory stabilizes the economy? One, buffer supply shocks. Because you have made plans, you have the right quality, you have the right quantity, you have first release. You don't release everything at a time. Then it reduces seasonal food price volatility, moderates push cost inflation in manufacturing, stabilizes commodity market expectations, enables counter-cyclical release in shortages, enables accumulation during gluts. Then strategic interpretation means strategic grain reserves, mineral stockpiles, and industrial feedstock buffer functions as automatic stabilizers of one, price. The stabilized price, stabilized output, income, and inflation cycle. So inventory optimization, therefore, complements monetary and fiscal policies. Because if you don't have this inventory, tomorrow now, by the time raw material now will form a division and begin to work on that, CBN, all these people, they begin to come and struggle with us over functions. But nobody's seeing that now. Because it's a very strategic point which people overlook. I don't see a national body coordinating inventory in this country. And if you believe by the mandate, when I come, I see that it is forced within the purview of the mandate of the council. So here, the footnote, I say that inventory is not just stock. It's not about stocking. It is macroeconomic what? Insurance. By the time you do it, you are taking care of some. Now, the third one I said, it's an industrial uptime insurance. What does that mean? The industry reality. Manufacturing and agro-processing are continuous systems. If you see industries or firms that have had break-even, they don't stop, they do shift. Is that also? They are producing continuously. Why are they producing continuously? Because there's a stock of raw material. And you don't have stock if you don't have the right quantity and the high quality and timing. Otherwise, you run out of stock. So, because of that, he said that there are continuous systems. Productivity depends on uninterrupted material flow. Shutdowns occur mainly due to one, irregular supply, inconsistent quality, delayed delivery. In some some industries are breaking even, it's not even power because they have navigated through that crisis and have their own source of power. But now, if the raw material is not there, no matter if they carry the whole kilowatts in the whole world and give you, you cannot produce anything. So not because machines are not absent, but because materials are unreliable. That's why they have these things. How optimized inventory acts as insurance? Number one, it sustains high capacity utilization. It ensures stable and consistent input quality. Enables predictable production scheduling and reduces unit costs by minimizing downtime. I give you the sources of this. I took time to see what is happening in the world about this. The inventory optimization is equivalent to feedstock insurance for industry. Now, the next one is as a foreign exchange conservation mechanism. This is why I want to tell you the importance before I give you the case studies. Very, very important. We are looking at, I don't know who manufactured this topic and this title. In fact, he has given a new life. He has pumped a blue blood into the vein of RMRDC. I am telling you the truth because nobody has looked at this. These are topics that are very, very serene and nobody is looking at this. That inventory optimization is very, very necessary if we must industrialize, if we must survive as a country. So now inventory optimization as a foreign exchange conservation mechanism. The foreign exchange problem in developing countries, one, unreliable local supply leads to precautionary imports. You have to import. Import substitution failure, excess demand for foreign exchange, balance of payments pressure. What is the cost? Cost is absence of certified, visible, and dependable inventory. You cannot make any plan, you cannot do anything when these things are absent. How optimize inventory conserve foreign exchange? Number one, converts local output into bankable, contract reliable stock, enables domestic substitution for import, reduces structural demand for foreign exchange, and supports exchange rate stability. And that's why I'm saying tomorrow now, Central Bank will say raw material is struggling with their mandates. No, we are trying to see how we can best use our raw materials to support the industries and then become competitive globally. Now, inventory here is foreign exchange leakage control system. If you are able to have a very good inventory, you're able to know what we want, the importance of quality, terms of position, and have it and feed the industries. We are not going to look outside. So what is it? Are you going to show me time? Okay, the next one, inventory optimization as food and mineral raw material security architecture. What really determines food and industrial security? What really determines is number one, not only production volumes, because we are producing a lot of mangoes, we produce a lot of fruit that we waste. During the drought season, they are wasted. But it's not the volume, it's not how much we produce, but storage integrity, quality preservation, geographic distribution of stocks, emergency release capability. So without this, abundance still results in shortages, a controversy. Now, inventory optimization as security infrastructure converts harvest and mineral outputs into strategic reserves, protect supply during one, climate shocks. We are talking about climate change, all these things. If there is a climate change and we have inventory, we have already planned, forecasting is very important. We now assume this is what we suppose, having put A and B, we are saying we need this, and we put it. If there are times of shock or wave, like a climate disorder, the heavy rain, or now you can see that we're experiencing what is I can describe as cosmic disobedience, because even nature is trying to disobey, because rain has not fallen till this time. When we are supposed to experience harmattan, we are not seeing it. It's described nothing else as cosmic disobedience. That is my own. I stand to be corrected. So, if process supply during conflicts, when there's a war and if not planned well, the war will take it will take the person and take everything will be part of the war. So, logistic disruptions and market crisis. This is why I say that inventory systems are the physical architecture of national food and mineral raw material security. That is what, when you want to have security, you have to have an optimized inventory. Now, it is also the silent infrastructure of development. Infrastructure is not only roads. Infrastructure is not only power. I am telling you that where optimized inventory is a silent infrastructure of development. Why? Number one, like roads, power, and ports, inventory systems enable availability. When it is weak or absent, the economy experiences shortages, price spikes, factory shutdowns, import surges. So its impact is felt most when it fails. Strategic role in development is one, the invisible bridge between production and consumption, the operational function of value chains, the material basis of effective policy in agriculture. This is the basis for policy. Did you just address some people now before he came here? This is it here, as if he was speaking the mind of this lecture. No policy, no effective policy can be taken if you don't have a reliable, optimized inventory. It's not possible. So, international practice, Australia's bulk grain system and mine rail port corridors, they treat inventory as strategic infrastructure rather than as a residual logistic activity. In people that have, they treat it as an infrastructure that is important in that country. They have corridor, logistic corridor. They link all their to the corridors, even whether local or international. So look at the download. It said, just as roads move goods, power runs machines, and port connects markets, inventory systems make availability very, very reliable. Now, inventory optimization as national economic resilience capital. Why this resilience matters? Global and national systems face climate variability, extreme weather, pandemics, we experience one, and health emergencies, geopolitical tensions and conflict, logistics and supply chain disruptions. Reliance depends on buffer capacity, redundancy, and adaptive release. So how this works, it provides time to respond to shocks, allows flexible reallocation of supplies, ensures continuity of essential services and industrial protection. So down, inventory is not just idle stock, it is a strategic resilience capital that protects the economy in times of crisis. So the last I'm talking about is inventory optimization as the operational core of development planning. Where national policies converge, inventory systems are the physical meeting point of agricultural and mineral policies, industrial policy, trade policy, infrastructure planning, monetary and price stabilization, because they translate plans and forecasts into tangible stock. So the interpretation is that forecast becomes stock. If you cannot forecast very well, then you will lack stock. Stock becomes stability, and stability supports growth and resilience. So down here, I say inventory optimization is the operational expression of development planning, the point where policy becomes physical reality in markets and in industries. So this is the conceptual architecture. So I suggested what we call the National Inventory Operating System, and I am suggesting, sir, that maybe we have a division that could be tagged as National Inventory Operation Division, where they will look at this and see the firms, what they're doing, how they're organizing their inventories, whether they need to be giving some advisory services on optimizing them. And then when we go to this factory, the state coordinating offices can go to these factories, they can do industrial visits and see them, bring this system, and then we have a national body, and that national body will be situated in the council, and that will constitute what we call the National Operating System. That is the architecture is what I'm seeing. From production, from farms, what do we have? Aggregation hubs. What are the aggregation hubs? We don't even have aggregation hubs. Are there clusters, cooperative and mining pools? Storage and preservation. Do we have silos, cold rooms, stockyards? Quality grading and certification. Laboratory standards. What are they? Digital inventory database. Volumes, grades, locations will be there. CY was just telling us how raw material is working on that. So demand forecasting and release scheduling. Then industry, this will translate to feeding the industry, the markets, and strategic reserves. Source, there's no need of saying source here because the source is already reflected there. Now, let me show you what is called the inventory failure loop. There's a loop we are having here. This loop is why abundance produces scarcity. My senior brother went to school. He brought a report. My father was a teacher. My father says, since his history, even as a scholar, he has never seen such a report. You know what in the report? The teacher wrote that he is always busy in class doing nothing. I have never seen such a comment. My father called me and said, have you seen somebody is busy doing oxymoron? What people that study English language? That is so how can you be busy at the end of the day you are producing nothing? Inventory loop failure. That's the loop. Why abundance produces scarcity? One, high production, no doubt about it. We are producing a lot of things. We have a lot of stock of the solid minerals. But we have weak aggregation and storage, losses and quality deterioration, unreliable supply to industries and markets, price volatility, idle capacity, machines, most of the people are not producing, imports, foreign exchange leakage, and inflation. And this is reinforced year in, year out. The supply chain breaks at the inventory node. That's where it breaks. Where production should become certified, where production is supposed to be buffered, where production is supposed to be visible, and where time flexible. The supply should be time flexible. So not rigid, not a particular time, depending on need. So look at the consequences. Number one, you see post-harvest losses, 30 to 30% post-harvest losses. We experience it in this country, especially in the agro sector. Industrial capacity utilization averaging 50 to 65. Then foreign ex outflow on imports. So foreign exchange leakages, billions of dollars in avoidable food and mineral imports. Why should we? Which we can solve using optimized inventory. Now, the economic effect is that inventory insufficiency acts as a hidden tax. I don't know the type of tax that's introducing now, but this is one of the hidden taxes that everybody will pay for. Because if you don't pay for knowledge, you pay heavily for what? Ignorance. You must pay for either. So, high cost, lower output, and weaker competitiveness. This is the effect. If you see that that figure, it's talking about before optimization. Look at, that is based on FAO report. Before optimization, look at the average loss, up to 35%. But when it was optimized, losses dropped down to about 10. That is what you're talking about. So that tells you the advantages of optimizing inventory. So Nigerian national challenge and the strategic role of RMDC. Number one, national implication. Nigeria's binding constraint is not production, but the absence of a unified national inventory operating system that converts dispersed farm and mine outputs. Dispersed, that's why I say raw material, there must be a coordinating institution. That's the problem. There might be segment of firms doing this, but there must be a national coordinating institution that will now do the work and galvanize these efforts so that it will become a policy instrument. So, dependable output into one, dependable and continuous supply, certified industry fit quality, digitally visible and bankable stock, market and industry stabilizing buffers. Without this system, abundance cannot translate into food security. It cannot translate into industrial uptime. It cannot translate into price stability, nor can it translate into import substitution. Then the strategic position of RMDC. Even if I stop here, I think I'm okay. Now, by statutory mandate and cross-sectoral reach, RMDC is best positioned to serve as Nigeria's national raw material inventory intelligence and coordination authority, with responsibilities for, number one, national raw material inventory atlas. We need to have an atlas. Until we get this, we are beating about the bush. Thank God for a visionary leadership who understands this. We need to have an atlas. What is an atlas? You look at that, you know where Germany is, you know where this is, you know where Africa is, you can see. So we have to have what they call national raw material inventory atlas. Number two, harmonization of quality specifications with industrial demand. The industries are making demands. They are importing these things because they have specifications, what they want. And Germany is meeting it up. And Europe is meeting, other countries are meeting it up. Our own is not meeting up. So we need to have their demand. What they demand? What is their specification? We have to harmonize it with what we have. Work with SAN and other standard organizations to make sure that we are able to get that specification for our industries. And that's what raw material has to do. That's our work. Number three, integration of demand forecasting with supply and buffer planning. Demand supply, we should be able to know what is the average demand. I think that we know what we import and export. That is the demand. And from there, we'll be able to do an integration. Now, technical leadership in storage, preservation, and beneficiation strategies. We are not struggling with solid mineral. We are having strategies for you to do this, and then we have a reliable, optimized inventory for the country, from which decisions about raw material for industrial development can be taken. RMDC is equal to this. That's why I use that plus sign. It anchors the knowledge. We have the knowledge. It has standards. Yes, we can do that. And coordination backbone of the National Inventory Supporting Operating System. I am only suggesting that it may be a division. So my topic now, having diagnosed this to tell you what inventory is about, the firm level and the national level. Having diagnosed it, tell you that it can be at the firm level, but the coordinating institution has to operate the national level. That's where it makes meaning. That's why a coordinated, that evidence-based decision or policy can be made. Having diagnosed all the importance of this very thing, this inventory optimization, I want to give some case studies of Nigeria. That is the case studies of some of firms that have optimized their inventory. And I say empirical case studies of inventory optimization in Nigeria agro and mineral. That's my topic. How cold chain, warehousing, and strategic reserve transform harvest into reliable, quality assured, and bankable food supply for national food security and industrial stability. How? Now, case study one, Cold Hubs, Nigeria Limited. I don't know whether you know it. Cold chain inventory optimization. Look at what it did. What it did essentially was to have what we call the cold chain inventory optimization for perishables. It was able to have a cold chain where perishables, all this and that waste. Now, the inventory problem was this. Look at the inventory problem. Number one, about 45% of post-harvest losses in fruit and vegetables every time, every year. No cold stores. Absence of cold stores forced distress sales. So what you will sell for 20 naira because it's threatening, tomatoes is wasting, you just pack it away. That's what called distress sales. Now, income instability to farmers. Farmers become discouraged because they are getting lost. They are not getting peanuts for their efforts. Then there will be irregular urban supply. That is the problem. Then intervention. This Cold Hubs model, look at the model they used to intervene. They got solar-powered modular cold rooms. Cold rooms that are not exceeding about 10 degrees Celsius. They create base. You know, when you are carrying some fruit, you have to create. It's not packing them in mats and other things. Create base, stock registration. They register daily digital inventory visibility. On daily basis, you can see what they have. Pay as you store model for time market release. You see, they do these things. Look at where they have their stores. Operational footprint. Look at, they have my of Lagos. You see them. You see them at day. You see them at the Saki market in Yoyo, Zaria, Kaduna, Nsukka. What they do, if you want to reserve something, you pay as you store, so that you can collect without being in a hurry to sell the tomatoes and waste it away, or to throw away the mango or the pear. That is the model that this Cold Hubs use. If you look at this, now, what are the advantages? Look at the indicator before, pre-intervention, before they use this optimization, shelf life of most of those perishables was between 2 and 3 days. But when that post-harvest intervention came, you could store your product for up to 21 days. Now, post-harvest losses now reduced from about 45% to about 15%. Then urban supply stability became moderately year-round, not seasonal. Not because when orange is coming, they get orange. When orange is not there, they don't get. Because there's a store. This is the intervention. Now, market access window. Then you can sell, you can not only 3 days, but about weeks. Window, there's continuous flow of materials. Policy lesson. Cold store converts forced immediate sales into timed strategic market participation. It stabilizes price, farmer incomes, and urban food supply. The strategic gap. Cold chain remains project-based. It is project-based. It must be integrated into the national agro raw material and food reserve and forecasting system as core food security infrastructure, not isolated private investments. And that is the coordination aspect I am talking about. This cold store, look at them. Look at the cold store. You can see there what they're doing. They're collecting something and storing them. Now, what changed? One, modular solar-powered cold rooms placed near markets. Pay as you store model for traders and smallholders. Turns perishable inventory into stable inventory for longer periods. Now, reported result. What was the result? In 2019, the report said that about average of 20,400 tons of food was saved from spoilage. This is reported. Then documented cases of evidence of reduced spoilage and better incomes for users. Multiple studies reveal that. So down here I said for perishables, inventory optimization often starts with cold chain and better handling, not just maths. Number two, the Afex warehousing. Afex is one of the leading warehouse institutions in Nigeria. Look at what they did. You can see the warehouse there where they are storing products. If you don't have a place to store them, thieves and you may be also forced to dispose them because you don't have storage. But look at the problem is from the problem they intervene and the outcomes. Now the problem is that farmers and aggregators lose value due to poor storage, quality disruptions, and distressed sales. What Afex did, number one, they built and operated a warehouse network. Then, plus collateral management and trading platforms to enable storage and structured trade. What is the signal of Afex reports operating 61 warehouses across 15 states with average of 100 metric tons of total storage capacity. This is the inventory. They try to optimize it. So here, what is this a lecture? Here it says warehouse plus standards plus finance can turn piles of grain into bankable inventory. Better timing of sales and lower risk. That is what we are learning from that one. Now, case 2 continue. This is the exchange. Inventory problem, I've said that the grains, they are into grains. I've listed all these things. What they have is what we call a certified warehouse and modern silos, moisture and grade testing laboratories. Because why some of our products don't meet international standards is because when you test for moisture, either the moisture is too high or it's too low. Then digital inventory registry, bank recognized warehouse receipts, structured release through commodity exchange. So they have their warehouses, look at them, scattered in Zaria, Obomosho, Makurdi, Minna, Ilesha, and the likes. Look at the outcomes. What is the policy? Standardized, visible, and bankable inventory transform grain into a financial asset, stabilizes price, and assures continuous process supply. What is the strategic gap with this particular Afex? Warehouse networks and price signals must be integrated into a unified national buffer stock. Capacity, that's the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Key locations include Ilori. This is where they located their own. What did they do? The current system, the current warehouse system of this grain reserve and federal silo complex is one, irregular stock rotation, limited quantity grading and certification, weak digital visibility, and volumes and locations, modest impact on price stabilization. So how do we optimize? The optimized inventory benchmark should be forecast-driven stock rotation, standardized grading and certification. Some can take up that one. Real-time digital inventory visibility. Raw material is coming on board. They will do that with MBS. Strong counter-cyclical market stabilization by CBN, storage loss reduced from 30% to about 10%. That's the record. Receipt-backed finance to improve farmer liquidity. Now, what is the policy lesson here? Strategic reserves must operate as a rules-based, digitally visible, and forecast-driven macroeconomic stabilization system. Optimization logic is as important as physical silo capacity. What it means that if you have very well optimized inventory, it is as good as having that physically. Because if the inventory is not well documented, you waste what you have physically. Now, case studies of inventory in Nigerian solid mineral sector. I have talked about the agric. Let me give of the mineral. Look at solid mineral. Look at that stockpile. Engineer is looking at me. Look at what that means on ground. What inventory means on ground? Inventory type, solid minerals. So the MRO space, bearings, maybe motor tires, lubricants, consumable, explosive, grinding media, all stockpiles, everything, raw material ordering. This is the technical terms in the procurement and this in raw material operating manual and other things that are there. So you have blend piles, concentrates, work in progress, crush ore, clinker, that is cement for cement, finished goods, cement bags, mineral processors. Why is hard? Demand is lumpy. Breakdown, demand is not continuous, it's shattered and scattered, and lead to times. And lead times can be very, very long. Then stock out can stop production. Overstock ties millions of space. So if you have stockyard, for those people that have worked in the mine, you have stockyard, the mineral stockyard. You can time your production so that you don't waste water or you don't underproduce, you don't overproduce. That is what inventory does. Now, case study number 4, solid minerals. The national sorry? Okay. That's the ACBMB Barrack inventory. So, see, number 1, the inventory problem. This API grade is talking about American Petroleum Institute grade. It's not the active pharmaceutical ingredient. It's talking about the America. And this NCDBM is talking about the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. Now they come and start qualifying raw material. But to sit on their own mandate and work, this board, they have what we call the Barrack Inventory and Beneficiation Program is there, and they have to link it to the American Petroleum Institute grade. This is the grade that is selling as far as barite is concerned in the whole world. Now, what happens is this: the inventory problem is that over 80% of drilling grade barite historically are imported. Absence of beneficiation and impurity removal. This is why no API grade laboratory certification. API, I told you, is American Petroleum Institute. So you see that what happens in the end is that intervention, when this board intervened, they did what we call gravity beneficiation plants. They brought API grade laboratory testing and certification, centralized grade segregation industrial stockpiles, and they have local content procurement enforcement in oil and gas. And look at the outcomes. The outcomes is import dependency reduced from 80% to about 50%. The executive initiative has that record. Certified local supply. Look at the case study here of Dangote. Dangote cement grade segregates. They know what they want to use it for what. Then pre-blending 15 to 30 days buffer in and rail-linked logistics systems, because these are not something you can carry with vehicles. So wherever they are siting the industry, they site it near there will be rail to obtain the raw material. So measurable and sustainably reduced production cost stability from low to high. So what is the lesson? Buffer stockpiles and grade control are critical for industrial uptime and cost stability. Inventory optimization functions as industrial feedstock insurance for continuous process industries. I have 10 more minutes. And industry uptime can give. Look at inventory buffering and grade control are not logistics. So this is case study number 3. That is the Lafarge African limestone and G3 infantry. It is here. I cannot go. This is the synthesis. If you see the synthesis of all what I have done, I compile them into a table. And then the international benchmark. You just try to see what Australia did. They have Australia's integrated national inventory system. And that is why I'm for Nigeria is that When inventory is treated as a national economic infrastructure, integrating storage, quality standards, digital visibility, industrial uptime, and export competitiveness and macroeconomic reliance. So I have given these. Here you have the core only by mere quality and at the right place and at the right time. In this sense, at the right place and at the right time. In this sense, even inventory optimization is not and delivery between policy and performance and between potential and prosperity. The query question is whether Nigeria and of course our Aromancy is ready to build the systems that make the natural resources available, reliable, and for good industrial use. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Dr. Sad Ibereke. If we had more time, he's got so much to download, and I'm sure you agree with me, to the role of RMRDC as the nation's mandated Research and Development Council. Thank you very much, sir. What we can do to have greater impact on the nation. Gentlemen, before we began that the DG would be joining us, please hold on to that thought because we'll be listening to his remarks. But before we move on to that, and to the point, please tell
your and third mandate, where they talk about inventory and stockpile of what we have. It's a mandate we have not had a clue on how to handle it. That mandate has failed in so many places. But there is only one point I didn't quite agree with you when you said inventory is a silent infrastructure. Inventory speaks loud when you don't have it. I don't know how many of you ever heard the World Cup came here to come and see how Nigeria and other West African nations, only one that can go for World Cup, and that's the stadium in Akwa Ibom. If you look at that, if it cannot be any national development for a nation in the laboratory, because this issue of analyzing our raw material outside didn't start today. It has been there, but we have not got the quantity and what variety is located in that place. And that is why we have to create a deliberate strategy to start taking our local raw material
I've been given.
Old lady.
Okay, the floor is now open for one more question, whether you're a gentleman or a gentle lady. Please, can I have that one question?
I beg, give DG that microphone. Okay, go. We're in exam hall. Director.
My name is Ita Isanadu. Actually, I want to make a comment, but I'm asked to give one question. Let me see if I can format my thoughts and get out.
Make your comments.
Actually, the lecture is excellent. I remember the fears you've expressed. I expressed this fear during National Council meeting, I think it's 2023, that there's a need for us to have a central repository for industrial industrial challenges and scientific innovations, coupled with agro and mineral output. Then we're still, dancing in the furor of Executive Order 005. I told them it's a need for us to have this thing so that we can monitor advancement in the country. Remember, the DG of NUTAB told me that there's a committee on ground to make that thing happen. So when you now raise this question that these things are on ground. I'm shocked. I think we need to check if they have done that work, because this is very critical. Like Obasi said, it is one of our mandates. We need to take it up. A lot of things are in the cooler, and passionate person like me, sometimes I just sit down and cry. But I hope things will change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And now we're going to listen to a few remarks by our distinguished Director General. Okay, sir.
They only made contributions and trying to take us back to the fact that it falls within our mandate, that we have that mandate for stockpiling. In fact, it is specifically written that we advise the federal government on the strategic implication of conservation stockpiling. This is, we can't stockpile. If we stockpile, we must have an in-depth knowledge of what we have in terms of quantity, location, quality, uses, and other parameters, specifications that can make them industrially relevant. That is what they are trying to recapitulate, and I think that is, I buy into the idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now we listen to the remarks from our distinguished Director General, CEO, Professor Namilugo Ikemonsi, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. At least today we have big, a full house, better than, I think once we had like this, I mean, maybe at the opening, at the beginning of this. But I guess this because some people came here by fiat. Some you must go there and all of that. So, but you see, it's a good thing to. Sabi said something. He said, if you don't pay to learn, you pay dearly for ignorance.
Don't worry.
Not knowing is a very big. It comes at a very rich cost, because you never know the day it will storm you. So each time we have opportunity to learn, we should take full advantage of it. And that also brings us to here. By the way, Dr. Bireko, thank you for this very wonderful lecture. When we started this, when we started thinking about this, part of what I told John was, let us look at the supply chain. Because I was very convinced that in framing the council, maybe they didn't use the word supply chain. What they actually was thinking about revolves around supply chain economics or something like that, which is because there is always there within Africa the raw materials. It's nature. Africa is synonymous to raw materials. On the other side, even if it's not within Africa, a host of people who are interested in getting these raw materials to produce. But how do they get that? And then for us, it's how do we get that within Nigeria? So the biggest challenge that we've had has been supply chain challenges. Whether, I mean, it's not disputable. In agriculture, that's the biggest problem. You do cassava. Obasanjo started with the cassava revolution, and then the supply chain issues hurt the cassava revolution. So, and then a host of that. So when we also think import substitution, local content, competitiveness, you see supply chain challenges popping up their head very strongly. But within the council, it's not discussed. Because again, of the paucity of understanding of what this mandate is all about. So this helps us, like this, I've never listened, even though I've discussed it, I've never listened to a developed paper on raw material inventory, anything. And this is the first time I've listened to it. So it's opened my eyes a lot, even though I've discussed it, because one of the things, and I discussed that partially with you yesterday, sometime in the past, I think I also engaged with that, is we've never looked at the firm level raw material issues. I think I mentioned it at one sometime. We always focus at the very top, and it doesn't tie in sometimes, because it's always good to build it in from the firm level to the top, and then how they interrelate, how they come together. And I think Seb has done an excellent job of this. We would like to see the final product because you just engaged. This is bigger than what you have presented. So it will be good to untie it further and further. But this opens our eyes because you said it all. Said if you have as abundance and you cannot keep it and make it available for use by those who should use it, then it's useless. And that is what we're supposed to do. Make these things that are in abundance available in forms that they can be useful, or at least have policies and the programs that should facilitate that. So I thank you for what you have done. Then, okay, what to stop? Okay, I thank you for what you have done. So in terms of what comes out of this, I'll tell you exactly what comes out of this. We're going to have a division. We're going to have a division. That division is going to be competitiveness. It's going to be competitiveness. So I just tell you, as I'm talking about it, I'm already processing it. I think it has to be competitiveness because I think it's very important to us. And I think the idea of the atlas also has to commence very quickly. So we need to do that mapping to understand inventory issues. Because if we do that, we can also speak to raw material supply availability. We can talk about it, that what we have in inventories for different raw materials are this, and in what location. It's consistent with what we're doing in terms of data. By the way, you didn't want to say that it's UNIDO that we're talking about. The country director of UNIDO was in my office, and they have agreed to take on our the biggest statistical database you can ever think about in terms of raw materials. So we're going to be working with them. So the country director came, and then came with the representative of the Ministry of Industry, because we have been on this for a very long time. We have been hanging on their neck, and each time they want to free themselves, we go back and tie ourselves back to their neck until they finally agreed now that they're going to work fully with us to make it happen. So this is also part of that whole idea. There is no RMRDC. If RMRDC cannot provide data, provide information, everything we are doing is just like joke. If we cannot do that, it will be like joke. It's just like saying you're doing RMRDC without mandating people to process. It's joke. So we just need to get into the real things, and this is one of those things that we can start doing. You know, the beauty of this lecture series again. What I would not know, or at least be thinking. Again, we've had it in our mandate for a very long time, and I don't think we ever went to dust it up. And somebody's just dusted it up now. And so we can mainstream it as what we should be doing that we have deliberately ignored to do. So we put it as, we go through the normal processes to formalize it. Then it becomes a division within competitiveness with proper articulation of what we should do and how we can get all of these things up. I want to thank every member of us, all our staff members, particularly those who have come here. If you have come and you like it, maybe next time you should come. We don't need to wait for a director to ask you to come. Because I want people to know. I want people to learn. If you don't, it doesn't need anybody to force you to learn. It's what you know that takes you to the next level. I don't know how much I can explain this to people. I worked in my life, my entire life for 6 years. My entire life for 6 years, I worked for people. From the time I started teaching in university, and then after that, I continued on my path in university on a part-time basis. And I started working for myself. And that's 6 years from the day I started working to the university to the time I left as the CEO of a subsidiary of a bank. So it was strong. So at 29, I was already CEO of the subsidiary of a bank. As a matter of fact, I wrote my own appointment paper. And by the way, my parents were primary school teachers, so nobody could have influenced it. They didn't even know Lagos. Nobody could have influenced it. But it is about the power of what you know and what you can do and how you can convert what you know to things to help it to work for you. You don't need to be in raw materials. So when they say learn or be part of it, don't do it because you want to help anybody. Do it because you want to help yourself. This job I'm doing, and I'm saying it, so nobody's quarreling here now. This job I'm doing, I didn't ask anybody to give me this job. I never lobbied for it. I never asked for it. I never prayed for it. I was on my own, they called me and gave me. That is why, if I get out of here, it won't be anything like me, because I never asked for it. It's you who believe that I could help that called me to do it. So there's always power in learning. Opportunities like this, you learn. I confess, I've never had structured education on inventory apart from today. And it can be better, we can expand on that, we can make it better and all of that. So while I thank all of us, I also would like to encourage us to make this part of what you benefit from the council at least 2 times in a month. We're also discussing about having departments to have their own lecture series at departmental level. And by the way, this lecture series is not about director. If you joined the Raw Materials Research and Development Council 2 weeks ago as what's entry level? Yeah? So if you joined at that level and you're very convinced that you have something to offer, please, for God's sake, just tell John that you would like to make a presentation. So I'm not, forget about what the director says, I will overrule it. If you're very convinced, because I want stars to pop up. I want stars to come up. People who know and people who want to showcase what they know. This one, everybody quiet too. Yeah? But that is the truth. I'm not a civil servant, a typical civil servant, so I don't understand all of that. But if you strongly feel that you have what you have worked on and you think you benefit us, please bring it on and we'll make arrangements for you to be part of this series. It doesn't matter your grade, please. This is about knowledge. You can see a division is popping out of this on account of this discussion, because I've seen that it is part of what we should have been doing long ago and we're not doing it. Why don't we mainstream it and start doing it? That kind of knowledge, that kind of idea, that kind of suggestion can as well come from anybody. So we cannot keep waiting for when the director or deputy director says it. Anybody, please. And just like you can stop me midway and tell me there's something important I think we should be doing in the council, or you want to know about the council. That's the way I want this council to operate. So on that note, thank you, and I thank you, Seb, and I continue to call thank you, John, and your team. Wonderful, wonderful job you guys are doing. Heads of department, I have a reward for the department that will first of all implement the lecture series. No, why are you pointing to something? I want the department, the first to, because I'm part of it, and then I'm going to have a reward for it. The first department to launch the lecture series, departmental level lecture series. Yeah, so that you can also document activities and improve on what you're doing at the departmental level, and encourage people at the department to also be part of what we are doing, you know. So on this note,
thank you very much, sir. A round of applause for our DG CEO. Thank you, sir, for your remarks. As he has said, let's make it a duty to be here whenever the RMRDC lecture series comes up. It's a free school of information and education. I'd like to invite Professor John and Mrs. A. Adibe for a few remarks from the RMRDC lecture team.
Sorry, can I say one more thing? Sorry, I can say it from here, don't worry. So I've always seen the DCA very active, very agile in all of this. I don't think I've ever officially thanked them for the work they're doing. And I think I want to use this opportunity to thank them for the great job I know that they are doing.
Thank you, sir.
This week, we just set up the RMRDC radio and the RMRDC TV. So it will be launched sometime next week or next 2 weeks.
Online audience.
Oh, okay. I'm saying that I'm using this opportunity to thank the DCA, that department. They have worked they've been working very actively. You know how far they were in the scheme of things before I came to this place, and even when I came, they were very, very, very far away from the scheme of things. But one thing is to tell somebody to do something, another thing is for the person to do it. When I approached them and I said, you need to push the image of this council out, because there are many things our people are doing, but they're just tucked in the drawers, and there are no motivations. So they took it on. We started first with the RMRDC 360, and you can see how far the RMRDC 360 has brought the council. I don't think there's anybody who does not have pride in the RMRDC 360. Because if you do something in your small unit, you don't need to talk to me. You just throw it on the RMRDC 360. So the world sees what you are doing. If your HOD doesn't want to recognize you, the world will recognize what you are doing. That's what RMRDC 360 does. And then we have been doing marvelously well. Just look at the picture there. These are Sokoto office. They went to meet our chairman, and thankfully our chairman also has passed his own vote of confidence on what we are doing. But the thing is, the DCA has been very, very, very supportive of what we're doing here. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank them. So it's not if I don't thank, if you're doing well in your department, I'll thank you. I thank people. So, and I just pray that they continue that way. Maybe after today, I will stop. By the way, you know, the 360 was championed by this woman called Ada Diora. She championed it. She stood by it. She suffered. I knew when she was suffering. She almost went crazy because nobody was better. Thank God we have it today. And you know, so we've just set up the RMRDC radio. So this week we set up the infrastructure. So the place that we created for the minister to use before. So when that place is no longer for that purpose, we quickly converted it to the RMRDC radio and television. So the TV infrastructure will be coming in hopefully by next week. So you can now have a full projection of what the RMRDC is doing. So for me, I think it's enough incentive for us to do things that we should do. And I will also be begging the DCA not to make this radio thing. You know, you guys like bureaucracy. So these are not the director thing or deputy director thing. Look for our staff, those people who can project our image, those people tell stories about what they are doing, those people can let the world know what the RMRDC is doing. I mean, because I won't be there. Before you now start saying this one is director, and then it's better. Director means you're senior in terms of government, but doesn't mean you are better. Look for the better ones. I'm very sorry. Being a director doesn't mean you're better than somebody who is a principal in understanding the job. That I'm the DG doesn't mean I'm better than you in the aspects that I know you're actually obviously better. I cannot, because I'm the DG, begin to compete with these two guys that Oduboshu and Charles in accounting. I cannot compete with Ebirekwe in agriculture. Just anybody. So you are better than I am in your specific areas. So that is, but so if we have to do something like in agriculture, I'll say, okay, Seb, where are you? Come and talk about it because you are better. I hope you understand the point I'm making. Not because it's the DG. DG doesn't mean I know everything. So when you're also going to do this, your studio thing, don't say this one a director. Look for the best guy for what you are going to do. We want RMRDC to do the work it's supposed to do to Nigeria, to redeem this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG, sir. Please let's appreciate the DG once again, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. The DG, on behalf of the Directorate of Corporate Affairs, who is unavoidably absent in this lecture series, we want to Dr. and Mrs. Chinyere Anu, please, she's unavoidably absent because she had to attend to certain assignment out there, but she sends her greetings to everybody who made it today to this lecture series for today. I want to also again thank the DG for the support he has given all of us. It's been amazing all through, and we don't take this support for granted. Thank you for also giving us our new TV and radio station. We appreciate it once again. Again, we also want to remind every one of us who has made it today that on Thursday, 22nd of January, that next week, we are having another lecture series, and we're also invited. Thank you very much, and the Lord bless you all for coming.
Thank you very much, Madam Ada. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite us to please stand up for the National Pledge as we round off the first RMRDC lecture series for 2026. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory, so help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like for our senior management staff to please take a group photograph with the DG first, and then every other person will take a group photograph with the DG and the RMRDC lecture series team. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much once again.